wow, another video? Man, either I have nothing to do or I'm just really, really creative. Or because the stuff that I want to do, I don't want to do it quite yet. Hopefully you saw my Aquaman Time and Tide video. Hopefully you did. And if you did, awesome. Because the funny thing is, when I remember reading that 20 years ago, I thought it was a really good story. And today, to me, it still is a great story. Speaking of great stories, when Image first came out in the 90s, I bought everything. Image is going to come out with a new book, I buy it. Some books I didn't buy. I'm glad I didn't buy. Some books like 1963 and this and this and this and this, I didn't buy it. I'm like, nah, pass up on this one. No. When you try to collect your Marvel stuff, because I wasn't collecting that much DC back then. I collected, some of the Death of Superman stuff, which pretty much every one of them got destroyed. Nightfall stuff, which didn't get destroyed, which is fine. But let me talk to you about Jim Lee. Besides Todd McFarlane, the most respected person out of that whole Image group I liked was Jim Lee. Jim Lee knows anatomy. He almost became a doctor. Matter of fact, because he had to know he knew about anatomy. So that's why he's one of the most prolific draw artists around. He sold all of he created this thing called Wildstorm. Created this whole universe of things. And so did all the DC. And guess what? DC didn't even use it until the New 52. And for 5 years, his creations was graced DC pages. And after the New 52 was over and done with, none of his stuff is gone. DC owns all of his things. So that means he can't use them without DC's permission. One of the things he did was called Wildcats, Covert Action Teams. Well, there's a mismatch of people, and it got somewhat popular. It spawned. Oh, I forgot. On a note. The Savage Dragon, which I talked about in a different video, it did have a cartoon on USA Network. It's kind of funny. I know I can see sometimes I run across them on YouTube. But anyway, Wildcats had also spawned a TV cartoon show, which kind of dumbed down the violence. It had a little silly rap song and talk. We're heroes, not zeros. Oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh. Lips of steel. Chamomile. That's what it sounded like to me. I don't know. It didn't make sense. But anyway. This was a very good series for me to read. Because you got this guy named Spartan, which is kind of your Cyclops style character. Of course, Jim Lee also was famous for X-Men. You got this guy named Maul in the background, which is kind of your Colossus style character. You got Voodoo, who was like your Jean Grey kind of character. Marlowe or Lord Imp was the main guy. Basically, they're all about aliens that somehow crashed the Earth millions of years ago. So these guys are like, some of them are like aliens and some are not. Warblade, which is your Wolverine style character. Yeah, let me do that. Void was this, I don't know. Of course, my favorite was Sister Zealot, which is your Wonder Woman / Amazon assassin. And Grifter, my favorite one out of all these. Grifter was my favorite one. He was the gunslinger who was part of Team 7 with Deathblow. So so what happened if you saw the other ones? You see, they try to connect everything. Then when they kicked Rob Liefeld, they had to de-Liefeld everything. So like Chapel, who's best friend with Alcina Spawn, it got retconned. Got retconned very quickly and easily. So it's kind of neat. I got number 4 right here. I don't know what happened to 2 and 3. Maybe it's downstairs, maybe it's not. But it was a nice. It's really interesting because he did the pencils for it for a while. Then after that, he surrendered it to some other people. For example, Wildcats trilogy was one of Jay Lee's first outings in comic books. See how that style of artistry is. Kind of like anime-ish kind of stuff. And this is one book I wanted Jay Lee to sign, but I couldn't find it. When you spend hours looking through all your old books, which is 1,700 books downstairs in my basement, and the one book that you're looking for you can't find, sucks. But anyway, then also he created this thing called Stormwatch, which I loved because it was based off the UN. The UN had their own superhero fighting force. This right here, it came sealed in a bag. Because back then, sealed bag stuff was happening. It was unique. See, this thing is sealed in a bag. One of the things I bought this recently again at a bookstore for like in a 25-cent bag, 25-cent in a dollar bin, because it came with a card in the back. Found it in the dollar bins. So that was pretty cool. This is the other one, the one I read. That's not in the bin. That's not in the bag, but that's fine. Stormwatch again. Lee's Guiding Battalion, Fuji. Winter, Hail something. Gosh, I can't remember. And I remember this person named Diva. The only reason why I remember Diva because her voice, she was kind of like a Banshee style character, where she was studying to become an opera, and her powers activated with her teacher, and it shattered all the glass. It shattered all the glass around it and blinded her teacher. That's how I remember that one, but. Number 2 and number 3. This was a really awesome series. One thing that was cool, they had this limited series called Fire from Heaven. And to hype the series up, it ended in issue 25. So to hype it up, they put out 25 first. And then it went back to like 13, so it builds up to it. And so every Wildstorm book, like from Wildcats to that, added up to that. And the main goal was they're fighting these demons called the Daemonites, which possessed people. In which old Vice President Dan Quayle was possessed by him. That's why he was doing some stupid stuff. For example, like during George Bush's time, his Vice President Dan Quayle made blunders and stuff like that. So the idea was to explain the blunders. He was possessed by an alien. Pretty funny. But the thing is, everything that Jim Lee did, it had a lot of quality to it. Scott Clark also, after a while, he did some work for Marvel, and Trevor Scott, they got work at Marvel after a while, and DC. Brett Booth got work at Marvel and DC. So I mean, a lot of people got work underneath these guys. And the one good thing about Image was that it helped introduce a lot of new artists at that time who are now great artists now. Some of them are not so popular. Like Jay Lee is a very popular artist. He just basically does covers. He just does covers now. But he was prolific. He did a Submariner run for a while, and I was like, wow, that was awesome. The story kind of sucked, but the artwork was cool. The only problem was the story sucked, but the artwork was cool, so it was tolerable. Tolerable. But anyway, that is enough for that for right now. So, what I'm going to talk about next, I don't know. Is it going to be something serious? Something wacky and crazy and funny? We don't know. But I tell you one thing, I do know that I am very, during the week, I don't really like to do a lot of videos but I'm on vacation, so I have time to do some things. So, now the question is, should I get lunch or not? I don't know. You let me know if you should eat lunch or not. But anyway, with that, I want to say good night, or good day, good morning, or wherever you are. Have a great time. And with that, I am out to hell.